Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 52. Contents of the Gita summarized. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam Srutavasya srutasya ca Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam Srutavasya srutasya ca Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya ca yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya ca yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya ca Mataji. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya ca yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya ca yada when te your moho of illusion kalilam dense forest buddhi transcendental service with intelligence vyati tarishyati surpasses tada at that time ganta asi you shall go nirvedam carelessness satavyasya toward all that to be heard srutasya all that is already heard cha also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Purport. There are many good examples in the lives of the great devotees of the Lord, of those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service to the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahman. Sri Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee and acharya in the line of the devotees, says, संध्यावंदनं भद्रं अस्तु भवतो भो स्नानतुभ्यं नमो भो देवाः पितरश्च तर्पण विधो नाहं क्षमः क्षन्त्यताम् यत्र क्वापि निषद्य यादव कुलो तमस्य कंसद्विषः स्मारं स्मारं अघं हरामि तद अलंग मन्य किं अन्येन मे. O my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kansa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes. Comprehending all kinds of prayers 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respects to the forefathers, etc. But when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engages in the rituals, etc., then he is uselessly wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness transcend the limit of Sabda Brahma or the range of the Vedas and Upanishads. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakha Nitamsya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanasate Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Vancha Kalpataro Vyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Namo Avadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Se Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च. So in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that how one can attain nirveda, the indifference to material fruitive activities. Because this fruitive activities is actually the cause of bondage in this material world. Because we are always looking for some material happiness, that's why we want to perform some fruitive activities, keeping the eye on the result of those activities, by which we can become happy, prosperous, and opulent. That is the whole goal which drives one in this cycle of birth and death. And this is the reason why this living entity has also come down to this material world. Because the living entity wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. And this type of enjoyment is actually temporary in nature. In material world, whatever enjoyment we get, that is temporary in nature. Because this material world is also temporary in nature. Dukkhalayam aswasatam. This is a place of miseries and this is temporary. So whatever way we may try, and we may go on trying birth after birth, still we cannot become really happy in this material world. Whatever happiness we get, that is very temporary in nature. Very little happiness, material happiness which is temporary. And it is not worth of taking so much trouble, working so hard for this little temporary happiness, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. That's why an intelligent person would not prefer to go for this material happiness which is temporary in nature, and one should try to get that spiritual happiness which is eternal. Actually, we are all desiring that happiness which is unending. But we don't know how to get or attain that happiness, unending happiness, eternal happiness. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is speaking through Arjuna to whole mankind, how to attain that eternal happiness, how to become indifferent to these fruitive activities in this material world. Because bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya aparuta chetasam. Because those who are after bhoga or material enjoyment and aishwarya, material opulence, their intelligence is stolen by Maya. Taya aparuta chetasam. Their real intelligence has been stolen by Maya. That's why it said that vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhavana vidhiyate. That resolute determination cannot take place as long as one has this desire to enjoy this material world. One has desire to get opulence. Then resolute determination cannot take place. Sometimes we see even our devotees sometimes ask this question that why I am not so much determined to pursue Krishna consciousness. Sometimes someone asks this question to Srila Prabhupada, that why that resolute determination is not coming to me. And Srila Prabhupada answered that because of sex life. Because we are attached to bhoga, material happiness, sex life, that's why resolute determination cannot take place. And that's true, Srila Prabhupada. Whatever he said, Krishna is also telling the same thing. Bhogai sarja prasaktanang taya aparuta cetasa. The intelligence is stolen by Maya. Because we want material happiness and material opulence. This is a driving force which is driving everyone in this material world to work hard. So here in this verse, Krishna is indicating that how one can become indifferent to it, nirvedam, indifferent to material happiness. Because we see when one becomes indifferent, then srotabhyasa srutasya, Krishna says. Whatever is to be heard, or whatever already has been heard, this will have no impact on the person who is indifferent to material fruitive activities. So what we hear through the Vedas. That's why Vedas are called Shruti. We hear, that is Vedas are called Sabda Brahma. So Vedas are designed to actually engage people in some sort of fruitive activities according to their guna or material modes, so they can come to the platform for understanding Krishna. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaista sarver aham eva vedya. Among all the Vedas, I am only to be known. So when one follows the Vedic principles, then gradually he will understand the goal of the Vedas, that is Krishna. That's why in Vedas, there are so many flowery languages are there to attract people towards Vedas. So you do this thing, you get this thing. You do this thing, you get this thing. So all these fruitive results are given in Vedas. So people will be attracted and do that. In that way, they will gradually come to the platform for understanding Krishna. That's why Krishna says, Traigunya Visayana Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. My dear Arjuna, these Vedas, they deal with three modes of material nature. You rise above those three modes. That means come to this Nirveda, indifferent state. Don't be carried away by the flowery language of the Vedas. It's most of the time, though the goal of the Vedas are to understand Krishna, but most of the time people, they become so much attached to material sense gratification. They perform austerity, they perform different rituals, they perform different sacrifices, so they can go to the heavenly planets and enjoy more material life. So the whole goal is to enjoy material enjoyment. Even people perform austerity, perform different vratas, rituals, the goal is to get enjoyment, material enjoyment, and material opulence. And when one is driven by these desires, then it is very difficult, actually, if one does not understand that what is the goal of these instructions. Then one will be carried away by this and go on taking birth again and again in this material world and go on suffering the material pangs. So, so here Krishna says that yadate moho kalilam. So this is like moha, illusion. When one is carried away by the flowery language of the Vedas, yamimang puspitang vacha pravadyanti vipaschita. So one is carried away by this flowery language of the Vedas, then he is in complete illusion. Moha. He is in the dense forest of illusion. So it is very difficult to get out from this unless one understands the import, the purport behind these instructions. So that's why Krishna says, Yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati. When the intelligence of one's intelligence surpasses this dense forest of illusion, means one will transcend this dense forest of illusion, that is fruitive activities, or desiring some fruits of one's actions, that is fruitive activity. So one has to transcend this and perform activity which is the goal of the Vedas. The goal of the Vedas is to understand Krishna and serve Him. So when one will come to this understanding that even if I have performed all these Vedic rituals, all these activities in so many lifetimes, still I am suffering in this material world. So how to get out of this material world? So Krishna says that you have to surpass the dense forest of illusion. These materialistic activities, which is very alluring. When someone gets nice fruit or happiness, then that is very alluring. That many people even they perform different austerities to get that happiness. Of course that is temporary again. Even Hiranyakasipu, he performed great austerity, standing on one leg. So, but what are the goal of his austerity? To get material power, benediction. So many people they perform different rituals, austerities for some material gain, which is temporary again. They don't understand the goal of human life. That's why Krishna says that one has to surpass the dense forest of this illusion. The illusion is to get material happiness out of these austerities or penances. This is actually a great illusion. So then only one can get eternal happiness. When one will become indifferent to all these things, then one can become really happy. Then when it can be possible? When one can be indifferent to material happiness, when one engages himself in the service of Krishna, which is his eternal nature. Because we are eternal soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and we can only become happy yadatma suprasidati. Savai punsa paro dharma yato bhakti adhokyade. Ahetuki apratihata yadatma suprasidati. So when all the sages at Naimisaranya asked this question to Sutta Goswami, how the soul will be satisfied? Atma prasidati. How the soul will become happy? We are looking for material happiness to make our body happy. These are all bodily conception of life. We are not looking for that happiness which can make our soul happy. So the sages at Naimisaranya, they asked this question to Srila Sutta Goswami. How this soul can become happy, really happy, eternally happy. And he says, Savai Pinsa Paro Dharma. When one will perform the greatest dharma. And what is that greatest dharma? Paro Dharma, Yato Bhakti Adhokshaja. To perform devotional service to Lord Adhokshaja, Krishna. And that devotional service should be ahetuki and apratihata, without any material cause, and in spite of all disturbances which will not be stopped. Apratihata. There will be hindrances in devotional service. But when devotional service will be carried out, then that is real bhakti. Otherwise, when some hindrance will come, we may think, oh, so much trouble, let me give it up. One can do it very easily. But real bhakti is one will not give up devotional service to Krishna in spite of all these difficulties, all these troubles. That is the real bhakti. And when one performs that type of devotional service, one can become happy, really happy. His soul can become really happy. So here we see Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was a great acharya in your line. He was the grand spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Madhavendra Puri, he was so much engaged in the love of Krishna that he did not want to perform the Vedic instructions like taking bath 3 times a day in Trisandhya or performing some rituals, Vedic rituals, offering oblations to forefathers and demigods, or even praying to the Lord 3 times a day. So all these things are enjoined in the Vedas. But Madhavendra Puri, he says that Sandhya Vandana Bhadran Astu Bhavatu Ho Snana Tubhyam Namo. So Madhavendra Puri says that bathing 3 times a day, I offer my obeisances to you. Means I cannot do this because I have no time. I am completely engaged in the service of Krishna. Sandhya Vandana, offering prayers 3 times a day, he pays obeisances to Sandhya Vandana. That I cannot do this. Oh, forefathers or demigods, please forgive me. I cannot offer my obeisances to you. I have no time. So in the same way, why he is telling that? He is telling because whenever I sit down, immediately I remember. Whom I remember? Na Yadava Kulottama, the great personality in the dynasty of Yadus. The enemy of Kansa, Krishna. Smarang agaharatang tad alang manne king anne. So when I sit down, I remember the enemy of Kansa, Krishna, who is the foremost person in the dynasty of Yadus. And when I remember Krishna, then what is the result of remembering Krishna? Now, aghaharatam. Constantly by remembering Krishna, all my sinful reactions are eradicated. So I don't have to become afraid of these fruitive reactions. I don't have to be afraid of my sinful activities because I am remembering Krishna, and by remembering Him, all my sinful reactions are eradicated. That's why I don't need to do anything else. Just I chant His holy name and remember Krishna. That's why Krishna says, Manmana bhava. Mat mana, man mana. You always think of me. So if we always think of Krishna, chant His holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All of our sinful reactions are eradicated. And if we chant the holy name without offense, then we are sure to get Krishna Prema, love of Krishna. There is no doubt about it. Then what is the use of these Vedic rituals? Doing so much austerities, following so many rituals, Vedic rituals, performing sacrifices. It becomes useless. There is one practical example I can give. Once we were performing Govardhan Parikrama. So that was in summer time, and it was around 11 o'clock. It was too hot. So one new bhakta was with me. He was doing parikrama with me. So when we came to one place after Kusum Sarovar, where we first see Govardhan Hill, then we saw one sadhu was sitting there. And it was too hot, but he had lighted fire. And he was sitting next to the fire. So generally, many people they do this type of austerity. In winter season, they will enter into water to perform austerity. In summer season, they will ignite fire and sit next to the fire. This is their austerity they do. So when we were passing by, then this new bhakta who was with me, he saw that sadhu who was sitting next to the fire. And there was a hot sun, it was hot. So then he became attracted to that sadhu, this new bhakta. So then he is asking me, Maharaj, that sadhu is doing so much austerity. So so much penance. But we devotees, we are not doing any penance. You see the mentality. He was thinking that devotees were not doing any penance. But the sadhu was doing penance. And what penance he was doing? He was sitting next to the fire in hot sun. So he became attracted towards him. That this sadhu is real sadhu, is doing penance, devotees are just eating and chanting, dancing, merry making, happy. No austerity. So then I understood his mentality. So then I explained to him. I told him that why he is sitting next to the fire. Do you know what is his intention? He said, I don't know. I said, by seeing him, what happened to you? Then he said, I became attracted to him. I said, because of that he is doing this, to attract people towards him. That's why he is sitting next to the fire. Otherwise, what is the use of sitting next to the fire? So they want to attract people towards them. They can make followers, they can make money. This is their intention. Can they get Krishna by this? By sitting next to the fire? If they would get Krishna by sitting next to the fire, then everyone can do that. Very easily one can get Krishna then. So there is a material motive behind this. I explained to him. There is a material motive behind this. And as far as devotees are concerned, they have gone through all this type of austerities in their previous lives. That's how they have come to the understanding, bahunang janmanangante jnanavana mang prapadyate. After many births, many lifetimes, when one comes to the proper understanding, the Vasudeva Sarvam Yeti. Lord Krishna is the source of everything. He is the end of everything. Then only one can surrender to Krishna. When one comes to this understanding, Vasudeva Sa Sarvangiti Sa Mahatma Sadurlava. So to surrender to Krishna is not a very easy thing. Not that everyone can surrender to Krishna. And if someone has surrendered to Krishna, that means he has gone through all these austerities in different lifetimes and has come to this proper understanding that Vasudeva Sarvangiti. So people generally they become attracted to these Vedic rituals. Like you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, people will not be so much attracted. But you chant Om Namo Narayanaya, all these Vedic mantras, people will be very attracted to you. Because these Vedic rituals that create attraction among people, that is the intention of the Vedas, to bring people through these Vedic rituals to Vedic way of life. But with this, Krishna says, Vedesya Sarveva Aham Vedya. The goal of the Vedas is to understand me. So if one is performing Vedic rituals but he does not understand Krishna, then it becomes useless, futile labor. Sramaye vahi kevalam. Nutpavet yadiratim sramaye vahi kevalam. If we could not develop attraction towards the lotus feet of Krishna, then it is only hard labor. And we are doing this birth after birth. That's why Krishna says how to become Nirveda. How to become indifferent to all these things by understanding the goal of these rituals. If the goal of the rituals is not to understand Krishna, then what is the use of that? If the goal is for material profit, adoration and distinction, then it becomes useless. Only wastage of time. That's why it has been stated that instead of looking for material happiness and prosperity or opulent life, one has to utilize this human form of life to understand Krishna, please Krishna. And how one can do this? Through devotional service. So that is the whole idea of giving this instruction in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Krishna is telling yoga. He is again and again telling about yoga. Yoga means to be united with Krishna, to serve Krishna, for pleasing Him. That is bhakti, devotional service. That means one should perform devotional service for the satisfaction of Krishna without any material motive. Even many people, they come to Krishna consciousness for material motive. Srila Prabhupada has said, and we see also, many people, they come to Krishna consciousness for material motive. That means they cannot please Krishna. And they are not performing a real devotional service. Ahetuki apratihata. No material motive, reason should be there in pure devotional service. Anya abhilasa sunya. No material desires. Only one desire to serve Krishna and please Him and expect His mercy. So when one is performing devotional service with material motive, then he is again wasting his time. His deliverance will be delayed. Krishna may fulfill his desire, but he will not give bhakti if you have a material motive. So, one has to give this lifetime. We have given so many lifetimes for material enjoyment. In so many lifetimes we have enjoyed material life. Still we have not become satisfied. So only this one lifetime, if we can give for the service of Krishna to please Him, then our life will be successful. We can attain eternal happiness in service of Krishna. That's why this indifference to material happiness, not being attracted to material happiness. A devotee will not be attracted to material happiness, understanding its temporary nature. So that means his intelligence has surpassed the dense forest of fruitive activities. His intelligence has been purified. Purified of all material desires. then one can really get happiness just by serving Krishna. One can derive happiness. So, it has been stated that devotional service, which are 9 kinds of devotional service, Navadha Bhakti, and among all these 9 kinds of devotional service, the Sarvasreshta means the most desirable one, which can give immediate result, is Nama Sankirtan, Harinama Sankirtan. And through this Harinam Sankirtan we can get love of Krishna. So, that's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Krishna came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give this Nama Prema. Through Harinam Sankirtana, he distributed this love of Krishna to everyone in this age of Kali. That is the best way of deliverance. And by doing this, one can naturally become nirveda, indifferent to material happiness. That means material happiness will not attract a devotee of the Lord. Like sometimes we see some people enjoying materially. If someone has some attachment for material happiness, he will be attracted immediately. But a pure devotee of the Lord will never be attracted to so-called material happiness, understanding its futile nature. So in this way, Lord Krishna says that once one is situated in this indifference, then srutavyasya srutasya. One has nothing to do with the Vedas and Upanishads. Sometimes we think that we are devotees of Krishna. We are not reading Vedas and Upanishads. We are only reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. We have nothing to do with Vedas and Upanishads. We are reading the essence of Vedas and Upanishads, that is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We have finished reading Vedas and Upanishads in our previous lifetime. So no need to read this lifetime and waste our time. That's why Krishna says you become indifferent to material happiness, then you have nothing to do with Vedas and Upanishads. You just perform devotional service to me. And you can attain me, attain eternal happiness. Hare Krishna. Any comments, questions? Yes.
Sometimes we think that Veda's purpose for Brahmavati Marg, being the devotee, sometimes devotee remain brahmachari ashram so much time, then after some they get married, and when devotee told Prabhuji, the Bhagavad Gita also recommended Parvartim Chanarvati Kare Kare Bhakti. So in this particular lesson, we think like that Parvarti Marg just enjoy material happiness, and slowly we can come to the point of spiritual happiness. So this is also recommendation Bhagavad Gita. So
Krishna speaks of all these different paths people follow in this material world. He's speaking of different paths.
If devotee follow this path, so this is good or no, not good?
You see, what is good, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. But he also says that other Prabhuti Marga is also there. What is your goal? Prabhuti Marga or Krishna? What is your goal? Then if our goal is Krishna, and we should follow the path by which we can get Krishna, very easily or quickly. We can follow different paths. It may take a longer time. It may take a longer time, like Prabhupada gives the example, that either you have to go by the lift or go by the staircase. You have to choose. If you perform pure devotional service, you can go very quickly to Krishna. If you have mixed devotional service, it will be delayed. But you will attain in due course of time. But it will be delayed. But the whole idea is to perform pure devotional service. If you can do it in Grihastha ashram, that's okay. If someone can perform pure devotional service in Grihastha ashram, that is okay, no problem. Like in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, many of his followers are Grihasthas, but they are all pure devotees of the Lord. So it depends upon what is our desire, what we want. We want pure devotional service or mixed devotional service, material enjoyment, or mix. That depends upon us. Accordingly, you will get the result. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop here. Jai Bhagavad Gita ki jai.